you striving to be like Christ each and every day? My guest, Ann Spade, is here to share her story of how God has used her at KCRA 3 and her everyday walk of life, and how he is constantly evolving and changing the way that she lives out her path to a purpose. I want to thank you for being with us here, Ann, and sit back and be inspired, guys. So Ann, you're actually one of my coworkers.
I am. So this is really nice to be able to sit down with you and actually talk about something outside of My 58 and KCRA 3. So
exactly.
It's nice. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. In our type of field, we have to be very careful about how we go about sharing our faith. So could you tell a little bit about what you're doing as far as your career aspirations?
So what I do is I'm more right-brained. I'm very creative that way. So I work for My 58, KQCA My 58 as part of Team My 58, and that's how Shasta and I met. So Team My 58, and then I do live reporting on weekends for KCRA 3 News. Just for live fun events. I don't do hard news, which is probably a good thing. But I do photography and videography, and I'm an MC, and we provide music. So I work for a personal business, a scene shop, which is another blessing in our life. So that's what I do.
You're wearing a lot of different hats. I love that.
I'm juggling a lot of hats. I say juggling them because they just fall.
Yes. As you may see in some behind the scenes clips that we have, we're trying to juggle these like stuffed emoji things.
Oh yes.
It didn't go well.
That was fun though.
It was fun.
So those make the best clips, don't they though, when it's not perfect?
It does.
It's a nice metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you, with all that juggling, how do you go about staying true to who you are and knowing where you belong as far as your faith goes?
That's a really good question, because in the industry that we are both in, you know that image is a lot, and it's really hard to try and be yourself when you have to follow a certain, image. Mm-hmm. But I have the fortune of being, I've lived twice your lives, and so it's I will say there is wisdom in aging, and and I don't worry about aging. I live my best life just because I know through my experiences, and and I hope that young people around me, including yourself, will realize this sooner than I did. But I just realized, you just really need to be who you are. You know that saying, just be yourself. It sounds so cliche, but it's so the truth. Mm-hmm. And I know that in my life, I am very strong in my faith, and I have my own relationship with God, and I use my drive to all these different events that we go to. I have to pray on it. I really do have to pray on, please open my heart, and mm-hmm. please help me to be the best me that I can be without trying to fill somebody else's shoes and be somebody else, because they're being the best they can be. But it is through my background and my experiences, through growing up and through, my life experiences, where I learned that the best thing you can do is you, because mm-hmm. You're the most expert at it, But I have to pray on it all the time, to this day, it's helpful.
Very true. There can only be one Ann Spade. There can only be one Shasta Garcia. There can only be one you.
That's right.
And with that being said, when you can't, just blab your faith out to everybody, especially when we go to events and things like that with Team I-58, we have to be very cautious on how we greet and interact with people.
That's right.
So how do you think that people can be Christ-like even if they can't express that through their words?
I know for me, even though you can't, it's really unfortunate that you can't speak openly about things that are really strong in your faith and near and dear to your heart. But I always say that I live by the golden rule, and I try to. So I try to live my life and treat other people the way I would want to be treated. That's the golden rule. The golden rule. You do mm-hmm. unto others as you would want them to do unto you. See, I can't quote a lot of Bible verses, and that's another line of questioning there. But I try to live my life the way I feel like people should be treated, mm-hmm. So just stay positive, stay happy, open your heart, open your mind, kind of have some tolerance, but really everybody's so different, Shasta, and I just learned that if you're treated a certain way, it's not you shouldn't take that personally. There's a book that I love called The Four Agreements, and I kind of use that as my little guide. But you don't take nothing personally. Whether it's good, if it's a compliment, accept it gracefully, but don't take it personally. If it's somebody, coming at you wrong, accept that, but don't take it personally, because whatever it is that somebody else is going through is between them and God, or them and their life, and you don't know what's happening. So if somebody comes at me cross, and I know that I've done the best I can do not to make that happen, then I know that I don't think it's me, and maybe it is, but I don't take it personally, because that's not, for me to judge. I try not to cause those moments, but they do happen. So all I can do is just, let it bounce. And that's the hardest thing to do.
That's very, very important, because
goodness.
God is the only judge, and something I always try to remind myself, because we are constantly coming in contact with different people with different personalities and beliefs and so many different things, and you guys experience that as well.
That's right.
But when it comes down to it, God loves each and every one of us. Each and every one of us.
Yeah.
And so if you can just get past your differing views or different ways that you live out your life, we can live a whole lot easier.
Yes, we could. Yeah. As a matter of fact, everybody has their own relationships and religions, relationships with God and religions and everything. And I don't even judge that, because, ultimately I just feel like, we're all trying to do, reach for the greater good. We all have challenges in our life. We all have triumphs too. It's
Absolutely.
not just, challenges, but what I was going to say, though, was, a lot of people, it's been my experience that a lot of people find their way to God just through traumatic experiences where they feel like, oh, I need you now, kind of thing. And I don't knock that at all, because it's a good thing for them to, find solace and peace that way. But what I grew up in a Catholic home, and so that's I'm born and raised and baptized Catholic, and I don't go to church all the time, and I don't practice Catholicism, and nothing like that. But what I do is I have faith in God, and I do believe that there is a God. I believe there is something higher than me that's telling me, hey, you need to do this, and that gut feeling you get. But I think that everybody has their own relationship with God, and I've welcomed and embraced people who have come into my path, whatever their religion. I let them talk, because I'm curious. I want to know your views and that kind of thing, and that's good, as long as I just don't want anybody to judge my relationship with God. I won't judge yours. Please don't judge mine, because we all have one, or at least all of us who believe that He is there. And things that happen in my life, I know that I feel like, it's because He's been putting them there. I mean, it can't be coincidence, some of the things that happen in my life, and I think there's a time and a place for everything.
Same here. It's so important to understand that everybody believes what they believe for a reason.
Yes.
And you did mention some of those circumstances where you knew that there was no way that this was not a coincidence, this was God.
Yeah.
What was one of those circumstances that you can tell us about?
Well, let me just share. So I'm married, and my husband, Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
So I grew up, going through high school and everything. I really didn't have a boyfriend. I kind of shied away from that. And it was more of an insecurity kind of thing. But for me, it was a special thing. And I wanted it to be a special thing. And that being said, I dated, that kind of thing. But when I was finally out of high school and everything, we were watching Days of Our Lives. And there was a scene where, his wife was dying. And I'm not going to go all into that. But basically, that hit me, and I thought, why can't I find a relationship like that? That's where, somebody's going to care for me as much as I care for them. They're going to get along with my family. My family will love that. Very specific. And I went to bed that night praying. I prayed for a specific person, and sure enough, 2 days later, a friend of mine gives me a call, and we don't talk all the time, but he's one of our dear friends, Dominic. We called him our Cupid, but he calls me and he says, hey, this is 2 days later now, and he says, there's somebody that I work with, and I think that you guys would get along. He's not looking for anything serious, and I know you're not, but, and ended up, and here we are. 92 was when we met.
Wow.
And we're still together. And he, he believes in God, and we live our lives trying to do the right thing. We try to live honestly and earnestly and follow through with things and, do the right thing, Shasta. And I feel like whatever your belief is, whether it's God, whether it's karma, whether it's, I don't know, but whatever it is, it always leads to something positive, But I find that whenever I pray, I pray with intention. So I don't just say words, because anybody can just sit there and say, God, just help me to be happy today. Well, you've got to put that in there too. You've got to put in some work. It just can't be just all him. You have free will, So I just feel like whenever I do pray about things, that I'm more at peace and things just kind of happen in a way that I feel like they're supposed to. Yeah. And I want to share one other thing. I'm talking a lot.
No, you're good. This is the whole point of an interview. It's your chance to talk.
Okay. Well, so I really want to get to know about Shasta too, because what Shasta's got going on is like pretty amazing too. So, and you're a very positive light in my life too. So, I mean, there's that, So the people that I meet, and when you follow your path and you do the things that you love to do with good intention, people come into your life that are supposed to be. That and that you can learn from. And despite the fact that I'm much older than you, I still learn from you, Shasta. I still learn from all the people on our team, and and I take those as blessings, and I'm very grateful for where I am in my life. But another example that I wanted to share was that non-coincidental thing. And I'm not going to name any names or name places because it would be very obvious, but I think this is a pretty special story for me is, you deal with different relationships or personalities in life, and some you just, sometimes you just don't mesh with somebody. And but it was very apparent that I was going to be in this person's space for a while. And so I knew that I was going to be in this space right after work. And so on my way to work, I have a 45-minute drive or a 40-minute drive. And so I use that as my time to pray and to talk to God. And, because I have my relationship and I know that he hears me. He's very dynamic that way. So no matter where I am and I talk, I know that he can hear me. But what I did say was, and I'm just going to paraphrase, but basically to open my heart and to help me be tolerant of, this personality that I can't just seem to get past. And I can typically adapt and overcome, but for some reason there are people who it's a little bit harder to read and it's a little bit, tougher to kind of break down a wall. So, so I prayed for tolerance and I prayed, open my heart and, help me to understand this person so I know where they're coming from. And just because I happen to think this person is very talented, there was actually a couple. And sure enough, after work and I went to this place and sure enough, I showed up early and this person was there. She gets up and she gives me this big old hug. She's like, hey, girl, how's it going? That kind of thing. And I thought, hey, and we ended up talking. I got to know a little bit more about her and understand her more. And she's like one of my favorite people. I mean, it's just amazing when you open your heart and you open your mind and just break down it's easy in life. If you're faced with a challenge, it's easy to build a wall and just go, you know what, forget it. But there's something to be said about just allowing yourself to break through that wall. Just do it. Just go up and talk to somebody or, be safe about it. But,
it's even easier when you start venting to God and you know that, okay, you let it go and give it to God.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
That's right.
It's in his hands.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I'm not worrying about it anymore.
Yeah. And it's really nice to be able to express that openly.
I mean, when it comes down to it, I look at my faith as a relationship, and we're all in different stages of that relationship.
That's right.
And with the relationship becomes trust and communication. You always have to work on that communication, like you said. There's going to be some days where you don't want to talk.
That's right.
But you need to.
Yeah. Well, when you come to work, Shasta, she's just a light. She's a beacon. When she comes, she's just got this big personality and always smiling. And no matter what, you just, you stay happy, and sometimes our job can get challenging with the heat and, just different things, personalities and everything, but you're really good with talking with people. And so you asked me, now I just want to know, how do you do that? Like what inspires you to go, you know what, I'm just going to stay in it because it's easy to not.
When it really comes down to it, happiness is a choice.
Right.
And actually, I don't even like the word happiness. I actually despise the word happiness because happiness is something that can be taken away. But when you look at the Bible, it talks about joy. Happiness is never mentioned. Joy is, because joy comes from the Lord. And joy is something that cannot be shaken because God is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Yeah.
Which means that your joy can be the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Okay.
So even in the trials and the triumphs that we go through in life, it's a choice.
Yes.
And so, I've been through some pretty rough things, and it's hard. I mean, I'm not always happy, even though sometimes it seems like it.
Yeah. But time and a place, right?
Yes, exactly.
So,
Especially when you are representing somebody else, it's very, very important to try your very best to represent Christ in the best possible way. Especially when you're with a lot of different people, you want to be that best representation. And so when I'm not, I don't feel like I'm doing my job properly, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because we are called to be Christ-like and to become more Christ-like each and every day. And yes, I'm going to mess up, and yes, I'm going to make mistakes. But at the end of the day, I want to reflect the joy and the hope that God brings. So
good for you.
Yeah, that's a
so
little
I
bit.
like that. I actually like that.
Thank you.
But I do like the word happy.
I'm
just going to say that.
It's just one of those overused words, I try my best to stick in joy instead of happiness.
Okay.
That's just something.
So it's almost like white
Little
noise.
thing. It's just like I capitalize the word God.
Yeah.
That's just something I do. Or when I say he and I'm talking about God, I capitalize that. It's just little things.
Yeah.
It's just little things.
I do the same. He's important.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you grew up in a Christian or Catholic family.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a Catholic family. What was that like, kind of morphing out of leaving your home? Was that when you kind of started changing? So
mine it kind of happened organically, and it's not that I'm still Catholic. That's still my religion. I've not been baptized anything else or anything. But I think that we had talked, and I mentioned that I have explored different churches. I've gone with different friends, and just to try to feel what's comfortable for me. And not that the church that I go to with my parents, I am not uncomfortable. That's not what I'm saying. But what I feel, how I guess when you have a relationship with God, or as with anybody, you try to find your tribe. You try to find that place where you
feel at home.
Yeah, maybe that's the way. That's the way to say it. I feel at home with my parents' church because that's where I've gone. But like I told you before, I don't go to church every day, and I know that sounds really bad, but I do try to live my life the way I feel like you should live your life.
It's also very hard with some of the schedules. I know it really is. It really is.
That's a fact.
Because I work a lot of weekends, and I used to go to church every Sunday. And recently, it's very, very difficult. And that's why finding those different ways to be constant in your faith and your relationship with God, even if you can't make it to church every Sunday, is very important.
Yeah.
Like you were speaking about, because I used to attend my family's church every Sunday, and then I started working on weekends. I started getting really busy, and now I church hop wherever I am. If I'm in Elk Grove, I'll go to a church in Elk Grove. If I'm in Roseville, I'll go to church in Roseville. But
I also feel like no matter where you are, you don't need and people are probably not going to like me for saying it, but I don't feel like you need that. Of course, visit church. It's a fellowship. You can use that fellowship, and
the fellowship is the most important part,
right?
And being fed.
That's right. But if you can't make it, it's like what you said. You try and find your place, and but I do believe God is dynamic, and no matter where you are, He's going to hear your prayer. If you don't say it out loud, He's still going to hear what's in your heart. So I do my best. So no matter where I am, I try to still realize and recognize my blessings. And so that's what I was going to tell you. I don't even know if I finished, but a lot of people find God when they are dealing with something a little traumatic and or a lot traumatic, and then they find that way. Me, on the other hand, and maybe it's my Catholic guilt I told you about, but I feel like maybe I should, not maybe, but I feel like I need to let God know that I do appreciate where I am, what I have, who I am, just by being grateful, by recognizing it and thanking Him for the blessings and not taking it for granted. I do that a lot these days more, because I feel like I have so many blessings that are coming at me. And maybe that's just me being able to recognize it, but either way, I am grateful for it.
That's
and I
so,
think,
so important.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And I want God to know that, I don't just need you in my time of need, but I need you in my time of, my blessings and my, things that are happening right in my life or that I feel are right,
No, it's a very important perspective to hold on to. I actually saw this, I wouldn't say it's like a meme, more of like an inspirational post, but it said, what if you woke up tomorrow morning with only the things that you thanked God for yesterday? Or today. That makes sense. So yes, so if you didn't thank God for anything today, then I guess you're not waking up with anything tomorrow.
Right.
Isn't that kind of like mind-blowing? Like there's little things that we, take for granted.
Perspective. Yeah.
Power, water, family, our breath of life.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that can be gone tomorrow. That is not guaranteed.
No. And I like all the different weather that we have, the heat, the rain, the snow. I appreciate
actually thankful
it
for
all.
the heat right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, you're thankful for, the different. I'm thankful for the different changes of the season. So it's the little things, and a lot of times, and this is what's challenging too is. When you feel that, when you feel really grateful for a lot of the things in your life, no matter how small. I mean, I go out in the morning. I am grateful for my cup of coffee and hearing the birds in the trees. Like it's a pretty scene, it's pretty and it sounds beautiful and it smells great. It smells so fresh, and I'm like out there, oh my God, Snow White, having birds land on my arms, and so the challenge there is there are people who feel like it's not cool enough. And I just had this conversation with a good friend of mine that I dance with the Hundreds Unit. And I'm just give her a shout out. I know that. But anyway, but we just had this conversation, and it's, you try to live your best life and try not, people are just going to judge, and I think it's human nature to, if you're feeling a little insecure, it's easier to, project it onto somebody else, but I don't fault a lot of people for that because it's a choice. Like you said, happiness or joy, that's your choice. You can choose to wake up and have a bad day. And if you're dealing with something really bad, a loss in the family and that kind of thing, you can't choose to be happy.
No, you are perfectly allowed to experience that emotion.
Right.
Sometimes you have to tell yourself, okay, I'm allowed to experience this emotion. It's going to be gone eventually, but I'm allowed to feel what I feel right now.
That's right.
I just try to remind myself that I'm not allowed to feel this for the rest of my life. I have to eventually start getting that joy again.
Yeah. Do you feel joy now?
I do.
Good. I
do.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you didn't before we walked in here, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Things happen, But actually, if you want to get in touch with Anne, you can look her up at Anne Spade. We also put down her email right there, so send her a little email, say that you saw the episode and say hi to her. And she has some really great content. She actually posted on her Instagram story today a little video of her doggy out the window. It was so cute.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. It's just so sweet. Like she's an animal, but people are, a lot of times that, they go, she's just your dog. And no, she's not just my dog. Look, she's enjoying
family.
the sun. No, but I mean, it's just cute because, you watch the dogs and they're uninhibited. They don't have that. They don't judge. They just know what they like and they just act on it. And she loved being out in the wind, in the sun. It was just cute.
So cute. And your little Mini Cooper, everything's just like so cute.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. What types of things are you doing right now? So you're with KCRA 3, you got a business. What are your future goals? Like what do you want to do? Because you already have a lot going on right now.
I do have a lot, and I'm actually doing what I like to do. You know what? It's funny too, because somebody asked me what my dream job was. Well, a lot of people always do, and you never really think about it. But I would really love Kelly Ripa's job. Could you imagine? I mean, you're kind of doing that.
You got it.
You're kind of doing that, right? Because you get to sit down and you talk to different people. Because that's another thing is I'm super social, and I call myself a social social butterfly. No, I'm sorry. Social dragonfly.
Oh, okay.
Because
we got to get it right.
Yeah. No, but anyway, but you get, she gets to talk to all these different people and learn about all these different people, and get to be able to spotlight them and still have her. I've always been a ham. So cameras, I'm not shy of cameras, that kind of thing.
No, she's not.
And I love it. I love to entertain, but I also appreciate things that happen behind the cameras. I appreciate, what they do in the control room, and because that all matters.
Yes,
like,
shout out to the people in the control
shout
room.
out to the people.
Volunteers who make Shasta's journey happen. It could
there
not
you go.
happen without you guys.
That's
And it
right.
can't.
That's your
It really
time.
can't.
That's your skill. Everybody has a place. Everybody has a skill. Everybody has a talent. And it doesn't just have to be. Unfortunately, in our day and age right now, social media makes it so that everybody wants to be seen. Which it's fine, but that's not just life. You have people who build buildings that need to be here. You have people who lay the cement so you can drive to where you need to go. And
exactly.
I mean,
there's
a
place
reason
for everybody.
Yes,
there's a place for everybody.
That's right.
And that's why when we're striving to be like somebody else, it's not a good thing, because
No.
that's not who God called you to be. God created you for a purpose. I don't know what that purpose is, but
That's right.
But it's not the same purpose as Anne.
No,
because we all have different purposes, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And that's just, we only have like 2 minutes left.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you, who are you if you strip away all of the titles that you have?
Who am I? What do you mean, who am I?
Okay, because you know when you like introduce yourself to somebody, you say, "Hi, I'm Anne, and I work with KCRA 3." So like, if you weren't able to say all those titles, who would you say you are?
Hi, I'm Ann Spade. I'm Alexander's mom and Aaron's wife, and sister to Charlene, and daughter to Mary Lou and Joe, and I'm a big family person. I really am. Like, that's my conflict. Is a lot of times you have to sacrifice family to get ahead in the world of entertainment. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to act. I love to do what we're doing here. It's great for me, but I don't want to sacrifice the love of my family and my time with my family. So I'm at a point in my life where, because you asked me, what future goals or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm actually in a place that I am very grateful for. I can do all the things that I like to do and still have my family in my life. Because I found life is super short, and in a blink of an eye, I still remember being your age, Shasta. It like yesterday, and then I just blinked, and now my son is 21. So
Shout out to him as well.
It's amazing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for letting me ramble.
Goodness. Of course. It's your time to talk, girl. I want to thank you guys so much for watching Shasta's Journey and being so supportive. Go share your story at shastasjourney.com. Look us up on Instagram and YouTube at Shasta's Journey. And just remember to be grateful and to start thanking God for things, because you might not wake up tomorrow with your breath of life. So enjoy every moment that you are given. And I hope God blesses you guys abundantly. Bye.
Amen. Amen.